we're already into the season where it's thousands upon thousands of commercials of, hey, your kid needs this piece of plastic crap. The one from Zoe last year was this unicorn that would hold onto your finger, and it was $65. And
Oh my
she played
gosh.
with it for one day before Mr. Unicorn disappeared into the depths of her armoire. So you know this too. You're a mom
Yeah.
of four.
Yeah.
Now is the soul crushing moment of every possible kind of gift is being shoved in your kid's face. How
Yeah.
do you handle that with so many kids?
Yeah, well, I asked them for their top 3. So they can only have 3 things on the list.
Interesting.
So then they have to go, do I really, really, really want that? Because if I do, I can put it on my list. If not, it's off, right? So you kind of force them to prioritize because of course they're going to ask for everything, right?
Yeah, if they can, I would.
Yeah, but limit that.
Now, how do you handle, though, and this is the endless thing, the comparison, and social media has made it worse, where there's going to be a picture on Christmas morning of their best friend holding the reins of a horse going, I got a horse, and it's
Right.
on their front lawn, you're going, they got a horse.
Yeah, yeah. When my kids when they say things like that, I'm like, good for them.
Kind of cuts off the argument part of this.
It's like, that's awesome. And what does that have to do with you? Nothing.
There's not much of a comeback to that, is there?
Right, and it kind of makes them go, what? It's the best response because what can they say? Like you're not buying into their,
I'm not going to invest in your existential angst.
Yes.
That's sad, though. So the phrase, good for them, what does that have to do with you?
Yeah, like, oh, and it's not sarcastic, good for them, but like, oh, that's awesome, good for, great.
Sincere happiness, but
They
sure.
have a horse.
Well, moving kind of in an opposite direction, and I've kind of faced this with Zozo, is extended family, where this is where they just start pouring gifts on this kid. And she ends up waist deep. And it's like, how do you nicely say, I would really prefer you not give my kid $300 worth of gifts because I'm trying so hard to make this plan of simplicity.
Yeah.
How do you go from there? Because it feels mean-spirited to say you're denied from giving the child
No
gifts, right?
Right. Well, you could suggest that they give those to Toys for Tots or like whatever you were going to give her, pick one of those things and then give the rest away to somebody who needs it because she doesn't really need it. Or ask for cash and put it in her college fund.
That's kind of what I was hopefully suggesting is, she's got a college fund. We could just get that 529 and throw it right in there, and that did not go over well.
Oh, it didn't? Okay.
No,
Oh,
I was
sorry.
kind of hoping for that too.
Yeah. But I suggest donation to other kids. There's so many kids in need that get nothing. So, and then that gives you a chance to teach your daughter about like, oh, grandma gave you this, and she also gave 2 kids some other toys that they wouldn't get otherwise.
That's such an important point, and here's one that's kind of tricky for me, because I've tried to explain this, and maybe it's my inability to explain it the right way, but I try to explain there's a lot of kids who won't get as many things, and then the Santa thing comes in. Well, Santa gives everybody a bunch of stuff, it'll be fine. And then the other side of this is also, what do you mean there's homeless kids? Does that mean we're going to be homeless? And then the fears start building. I'm like, I have totally screwed this up. So there's some key delicate elements there of you're working with the concept of Santa Claus, and you're also working with that basic fear of, well, if that kid can be homeless and not get presents, does that mean that could happen to me?
Oh, yeah.
Which are concepts that never occurred to me until I became a mother.
Right.
How do you work through some of the delicate ideas there and make it more of an exciting option that you can help these kids versus, oh my
terrifying?
God.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think, well, first of all, it's great that you're exposing her to people who are less privileged, right? I think and it does bring up her fear, right? That could be us. And reality is it could, but it's probably not. I mean, if you have a job and you own your house, you're not going to be homeless. So I think we're okay. So just kind of do the reassurance. But I think it's really important to expose kids to people who are less privileged, so they really get that's a reality, and that they understand their blessings and how much they have.
Let's go through some ages, and maybe that would help people, because it would have helped me a little earlier before I traumatized my daughter. Up to probably they start having this awareness maybe more around 5 when they're starting to see their little buddies in school. There's 2 little ones that are homeless in my daughter's class, and and they all work really hard to make sure that these kids have the same education and the same respect and the same opportunities. But it's really hit her. This is what homelessness is.
Yeah.
So between like say 5 and 10, how do you introduce the concept of less and the concept of helping? What are some of the actions and some of the things that you can do with these kids?
Well, they can volunteer. They can collect cans for the food bank. There are things that they can do. Donate old books. Like, so when they're cleaning out their toys, it's like, say, we are going to give these to kids at the homeless shelter, and take them down there and let them participate from an early age, so they get, like, you can make a difference. That's what kids want. That's what gives them self-worth, is being able to make a difference for someone else. It's not how much stuff you have. That never makes anyone happy. I mean, the most miserable people have the most toys, right?
This is true.
So,
and I'm not letting go of any of them.
yeah. So exposing them to opportunities to make a difference for other people, you can totally do that at age 5 to 10.
Zoe and I have gone down for Thanksgiving. Todd cooks dinner, and our job is to mainly stay out of his way. So I take the kids and we go down to like Walmart or Target and buy a big bunch of socks and like gloves and hats. And then we go down to like Pioneer Park and some of the areas, and we hand out to the homeless ladies and gentlemen. But the thing I think I missed is talking to them about it afterwards, about how does this make you feel? Do you have any questions? So when you do have this experience with your kids, what should you be asking them afterwards to see what's settling in their fertile little brains?
Yeah, I think just asking open-ended questions is always the best approach. What was that like for you? What are you thinking about? How are you feeling? What's coming up? And then share what it was like for you. It makes me feel really grateful that we have this home to come home to. I feel really grateful that I have you guys. So just the open-ended questions.
See, I'm learning a lot from you. I wish I'd asked a few questions earlier, but this is good. I'm still learning. What about between 10 and, the tweens and teenage years? Because this is when it gets hardcore, where it's like they're a little bit colder, like, that's nice, but I still am going to
And they want expensive things.
Yes.
Yeah.
So how does it change there? What do you do with your approach in that regard?
Well, I think limiting the expectations of what they're going to get. I mean, I don't think it's any different than the younger kids, really, Erin. I think it's exposing them to opportunities to serve. And hopefully you're building that into your family life somehow, whether it's donating to a charity or Toys for Tots or whatever. But making sure that they participate in that and directly experience people who are less fortunate than they are.
How does that impact them more as, I call it the cold-hearted teens, and I'm sure that's a very unfair analysis.
We're self-absorbed teens.
It does seem harder to break through that at that point, to go, do you see that there's other people who need our help?
Right. The world is not just right here,
Exactly. Is it more still just about exposing and about the service projects and about trying to be part of something bigger?
And when they feel good doing that, that makes an impact. That's where self-worth comes from, not from stuff. I mean, it's just, we think, things will make us happy. And life doesn't work that way. It's making a difference for other people that makes us happy.